Star Wars The Bad Batch Episode 3, titled The Replacements, released this morning. Once again, another great episode. There are so many themes the series is trying to get through. To take over the Empire, the change from clones to stormtroopers, the absence of the Jedi, family, duty, and Clone Force 99 trying to find their way in a changing galaxy. There are so many little Easter eggs in this episode as well. So just to make this clear, there will be spoilers for Episode 3 of Star Wars The Bad Batch, The Replacements. Continue at your own risk. As with all the reviews I do, I will start with the plot, move on to hidden gems, then give my analysis of what it could mean. Those are my own speculations. Today, on Star Wars FANATIC. While you're here, go on and hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications to stay up to date on all of my Star Wars content. Again, just a heads up, there will be spoilers. The episode begins with Hunter looking over Omega as she lay on the uncomfortable floor while leaning back on an overturned gonk droid. He says that cannot be comfortable, and she says she'll be okay. Their ship is then pulled out of hyperspace due to a malfunctioning capacitor, and they have to make an emergency landing on a moon to repair the busted capacitor. Tak and Echo replace the capacitor with the only one they have left, but it is stolen by a type of dragon when their backs are turned. Hunter then sets out to track the creature and return the necessary part, but Omega insists she is part of the squad and wants to go as well. He agrees, and they set out for their little adventure. While Hunter is knocked unconscious, Omega discovers the dragon survives off energy devices, but can't break through the capacitor's shell. She throws her flashlight to the creature, and it abandons the capacitor for the easier access of the flashlight's power cells. She returns to Hunter, who was just recovering from his bout with the dragon, just before, and they return to the ship with the capacitor. As they leave the moon, Wrecker shows Omega that he made her a little room of her own, so she doesn't have to sleep on the floor. It is then mentioned again that she is part of the squad. In the meantime, back on Kamino, Governor Tarkin is weighing the pros and cons of having a clone army. He has mostly a cons list. The cost of maintaining a clone army is too great for the amount of time they will need to sustain the Imperial rule of the galaxy. Imperial officer Rampart enters and tells Tarkin he has conscripted soldiers to show him. Lama Su, the Kaminoan Prime Minister, argues that clones are bred to be loyal, but conscripts must be trained. Rampart's argument is that volunteers are more likely to be loyal than those forced into service. So Tarkin devises a trial run, a conscripted force led by a clone commander. This commander is none other than Crosshair, who has been undergoing experiments on his inhibitor chip. He tells Rampart that Crosshair will lead a mission to wipe out Saw Gerrera's insurgents, all of them. A mission Clone Force 99 did not succeed in. The test is agreed upon, and the unit is sent to Onderon. On their way, one of the conscripts, designated ES-01, tells Crosshair to enjoy his command, for now. While on the mission, Crosshair does what is asked of him, but the conscript ES-01 hesitates and tries to take command of the unit. Crosshair then shoots him, and the other conscripts fall in line. The mission was fulfilled, other than Saw Gerrera had already left before they arrived. When they returned to Kamino, the mission success was relayed to Tarkin and Rampart by Crosshair. Tarkin notices one of the volunteers had not come back, and mentions it. It cuts to Lama Su and Nala Se talking in the Kaminoan facility. They discuss the Empire's objective to get rid of their clones and end their business. The Prime Minister hints that they need more clones for their own use. But Nala Se says the original sample of Jango Fett is increasingly deteriorating. Lama Su then says they need a new host, as they pass in front of a containment cell. It doesn't show whom or what is in the cell, though. Nala Se says that the clones needed for this endeavor are not willing to return. The Prime Minister then says clones are property of Kamino and they only need one host. Okay, so that's the episode breakdown. There was a lot packed into this episode, and the story is only part of it. There's so much that is hidden throughout the episode. The first I will talk about is Crosshair. He is the oldest of Clone Force 99. Okay, to clarify, he is the oldest that we see of all the members who have been with Clone Force 99. But is he the oldest? They mentioned his designation a few times in this episode. When they do that, it means it's significant. His designation is CT-9904. That means he was the fourth clone created of this batch. Maybe the others were unsuccessful, but that means there were 3 others before Crosshair. I thought that was significant. The next little subtlety is when the Bad Batch's shuttle makes a hard landing on the moon. As they are dropping in, Wrecker hits his head on the steel harness that holds him in his seat. A bump on the head can't be too significant, right? Wrong. Like I said with Crosshair, when something is mentioned more than once, it means it is a foreshadowing of something that will become important later. Throughout the episode, Wrecker rubs his head in the spot of the hit, and it just so happens the place he got hit is where his inhibitor chip is located. He even mentions his head hurting from the crash landing. It's going to play a role in the next couple episodes, I'm sure. Hopefully, we don't lose Wrecker to the Empire. If we do, it will be short-lived. He is like a big uncle to Omega and really has a soft spot for her. But that's my own speculation. The next is a theme that I noticed. Wrecker speaks up and says he misses Crosshair. They all agree in their own way. But back on Kamino, the newly formed elite squad, consisting of 3 conscripts and Crosshair, are given Clone Force 99's barracks. Crosshair glances at the tally marks made by the unit when they would complete missions, then sits on his rack, or bed if you prefer, and has the look of missing his old unit. Almost to say, how dare they desecrate this room with these amateurs? This may be a sign that Crosshair is becoming conflicted. But we'll see. But what's important is that Omega clarified that the inhibitor chips caused him to turn. It wasn't due to his own will. Which brings me to my next point. No clone knew about the inhibitor chips through training. They had to discover them the hard way. But Omega knows a lot about them. She was trained on them and taught their purpose. I find this interesting because Nalase was like a guardian to her on Kamino. Like Cut said in the previous episode, no clone is created without a purpose. What is Omega's purpose? Well, I'll get to that analysis in a bit. Speaking of inhibitor chips, Tech was working on a gadget that would check the team's inhibitor chips. He didn't really clarify if the gadget would do anything, but this is going to be interesting as it develops. The last Easter egg I want to bring up is so subtle that if you don't know about Legends material, you wouldn't have caught it. And that is the type of dragon they encounter on the moon. Tech calls it an Ordo moon dragon. Why is that significant? Well, in Legends, there was a class of clone trooper called Advanced Recon Commandos. They were Null class. One of those, designated Null 11, was recruited by another clone that Jango Fett himself had recruited to help train clones, Cal Skirata. Null 11 and his other Null-class counterparts were slated for termination due to the unpredictable behaviors and their insubordination. Sound familiar? Anyways, after Null 11 and his comrades were saved by Cal Skirata and adapted into Mandalorian culture, Null 11's name was changed to Ordo Skirata. Ordo Moondragon, Ordo Skirata. Maybe it's just a callback to the old Legends material, giving it a little bit of, nod, saying, hey, we notice you. But maybe it's significant. Is it a coincidence that the creature was called an Ordo Moondragon? I've said it a million times before. Nothing in Star Wars is coincidence. But is the Moondragon just an homage to the Legends character, or is it also foreshadowing something bigger? And that is where I will lead off with my analysis. Now, I'll preface this with saying that this is just my analysis or my predictions. It doesn't mean it's true. I don't have any inside sources or anything like that. But the Bad Batch and the Legends characters of Clan Skirata have a lot in common. True, the timeline is a little different, but if you take into account that the Clone Wars only lasted around 3 years, it isn't that much different. Other than in Legends, it was near the middle of the Clone Wars, and not after it was over. I have said this from the time I saw the group in the Clone Wars Season 7. They may end up being Clan Skirata of the Mandalorians. That means Cal Skirata is out there somewhere, and he trained with Jango Fett. That also means the true Mandalorian cause could still be alive at this time. Now, it could be that they run into Boba Fett and he introduces them. We know Fennec Shand will make an appearance, and she and Boba are sidekicks in The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett. We just don't know how long they knew each other. Anyways, Dave Filoni said everything is going to connect. Yes, it's my hope that the Bad Batch become Clan Skirata, but I won't be too disappointed if they don't. Dave Filoni does great things with these series. Another one I would like to see develop is that of Omega. By the way, her name also implies Clan Skirata connections, but I'll make a separate video on that later. But as far as we know, she is the only female clone. However, she has striking physical similarities to the other clones, the biggest being her eyes. The question I pose is, was she an altered Jango clone, or a clone of someone entirely different? Again, you would have to know a little bit about Legends to have picked this up. Jango Fett was not the only surviving Fett member of his clan. He had a sister, Arla. She became a member of Tor Vizsla's Death Watch and eventually defected away from it. I have done a whole modernized fan fiction of this. You can check it out on my channel. Anyways, what if Omega is a clone of Arla Fett? Jango Fett was of the organization called the True Mandalorians, whereas Arla was of the other side, Death Watch. It would explain the similarities in appearance while also explaining why she is a female. Maybe I should save all that for another video. Okay, so my analysis of the episode, I've said it 100 times. I wasn't excited for this show when it was announced last year. I still intended to watch it though. Come on, it's Star Wars. But I am happy that my reservations were unsubstantiated. This episode just furthers my thought that this show has the potential to be even better than the Clone Wars. Will we get 7 seasons of it? Let's hope. There are 19 years of the Imperial rule before it really begins to crack. They have the potential of making this series last that long, and I hope they do. Imagine the complexity of the Clone Wars characters and plots mixed with longevity of a show spanning 19 years. Not 19 years of our time, maybe 10. This episode is one of the foundations that could make it happen. The theme of family is strong, and that's what Star Wars is all about. From Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, and Anakin Skywalker, to Mandalorians and their clan systems, to even Jawas and Tusken Raiders and their tribal systems. It's all been about family, and this series is really solidifying that. Well, that's my breakdown of Episode 3 of The Bad Batch, titled Replacements. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Did you like the episode? I love hearing your ideas and interacting with you, so let's hear from you. If you're new to the channel or haven't taken the creed yet, please don't forget to do so by clicking the subscribe button and turning on notifications to stay up to date on my Bad Batch, Book of Boba Fett, and general Star Wars theories, speculations, and discussions. Also, hit the like button to show your support for what I do here and the hard work I put into every video. Doing so really helps boost my channel. Thank you for watching, and remember, this is the way, the only way.